Peace, peace, peace. What's good? What's good? What's good? Oh my gosh, it's been a minute. It's been a really long minute since I have shared any kind of message, at least to where I've posted it. There's been so much going on in my life. Oh my gosh. There really has been so many changes, so many shifts, so full of alignments, full of so much alignment to put it all into one, which I can't. It has so much energy. I keep going back to the word of alignment, I feel like I've now really programmed, there's still so much that I'm still continuously needing to work on and continue to grow on. It's a never-ending phase. However, I'm appreciating the moment of where I am right now and how far, or not even, it's not about any distance or anything like that. It's just internally how much I have grown and how much I really have now been seeing the physical manifestations of what I've been working on within myself internally first, to where now everything is just continuously just dropping into my life effortlessly, with ease, just flowing. It's just all just flowing so smoothly. And it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So there's so much that I want to share. There's so much that I want to talk about and really put my journey out there, how I live my life, how much I consciously make effort to reprogram my subconscious, to really get down to the roots of every single belief I've ever had, every single thought. Obviously not it, but every thought, I'm mindful of the thoughts that I receive, and that I maybe at some point and sometimes in my life, these thoughts that I started to feed on, and why there were different things that manifested because of those thoughts. There's a big part of my growth has been continuously being in a state of reflection, reflecting back on those thoughts, reflecting back on beliefs that I had, reflecting back on actions, reflecting back on emotions and feelings in certain situations, and reflecting back on patterns that I started to make based on whatever energy frequency I was tuned into at that moment. Tuned into, as far as like a radio station, I was tuned into this radio station that was not serving my highest good, which are a big mix of thoughts, emotions, situations, reactions, communication cycles or patterns, because I've hardly ever been a good communicator until now. I feel like this big cycle of my life that I've kind of been encompassing has been showing me how much I really am growing. Let's say, like, specifically with my communication. I've been placed in situations that are difficult with people who have known me in those time periods of where the root started of my I don't want to say bad communication, but my not so balanced communication. And it's really shown me how much I really have cleared and have really pushed through clearing out this throat chakra and clearing out whatever it is that I had stuck here and left stuck here that kept me from pushing it out, pushing out my feelings, pushing out my emotions, pushing out whatever it is that I wanted to say at that time, but instead I just swallowed it back in. Oh man, I feel that deep right there. Swallowed back in my emotions, swallowed back in my significance of the essence of who I am, which is my feelings, my how I process things. Of course, with a balance. I feel like I've been on this really big journey of trying to balance my human self with my spiritual self and come to this harmonious equilibrium between getting out of my mind and getting more into my heart and not pushing away my emotions and my feelings and who I am. And I feel like it takes time for for the universe physically to catch up with what we're working on inside. And sometimes I'm feeling the need to say, like, I know that sometimes it can seem like, well, you're working on your inner self and then something in this physical human experience happens and it makes you want to wonder, well, what is it that I'm doing wrong? What is it that I'm not doing? What is it that I need to do more of that is of my highest good, that is going to help me see the reflection of what I'm doing to work on in here, out here. And I feel like there's such a power in remaining calm in the mind, remaining calm to where you can feel the heartbeat of your existence. This pulse is the heart, it's the beat, it's the harmony of my existence right here, right now. And I remember that when I first started to really become more conscious, aware of my pulse and tune into my heartbeat different times of the day continuously. I remember when it first kind of hit me in a way. I was in a conversation with one of my friends a couple years ago, and we were talking about things in a higher consciousness, and there was something mentioned about our heartbeats and how disconnected we all mostly are to this pulse within us. So concentrated on this physical world and wanting this physical world to manifest a certain way during a certain time frame and in a certain however it is. But being calm, having the calmness of our mind, of our heart, of who we are, and staying centered and locked in here. And in a sense, I'm feeling like just having one foot in and one foot out of the human experience and the spiritual world, not fully in the human experience, not fully out of the human experience, having that balance. I'm so in this time space of energy that I've been in, I've been so focused, not overly focused, with a balance. I've been focused a lot on balance, balancing myself, balancing being in this human experience, experiencing and enjoying this human life that I have as self, but also not getting too caught up in this physical, to where if something doesn't appear right away or it takes a little bit of time, I have that balance within. And right now I literally have my feet like this, like if we're on a skateboard right now, I literally have one foot in and one foot out, to where when my human self wants to say or react or try to be logical about a situation and want to kind of get me in my head about, well, if you're doing this, well, then why? I don't know. I kind of don't even feel that way anymore. So it's kind of hard for me to get back into that. Because again, I've been trying to balance. At first I was like, whoa. Not just kidding, but kind of, sort of, not even kidding, actually. Now I have a good balance, a good foundation, where my mind doesn't get out of control anymore. My mind doesn't try to trick me anymore. My mind doesn't try to question anymore. I'm so balanced in the human experience and my spiritual self, because we are spiritual. We are spiritual beings. We're not this human body. We're not this human body. And I feel like it's going back to something that I had was like, when I heard it, I think, I haven't heard him in a while. His name is Allen, David Allen, Jeffrey Allen. Jeffrey Allen, I believe is his name. He teaches about energy. And he says that most people think that our body, our spirit is in our body, but actually our body is in our spirit. Our spirit is way more grand than this physical body that we have. And that's also why it's like our spirit continues to live on way past this physical body does. I don't know how many physical bodies I've had before. I have no idea. I know I've had more physical bodies in human experiences before, because I felt it since I was so little, and I couldn't even fathom the thoughts of to know or to think that like I've been here before. I've experienced things like this before. I've had these human experiences before. When when I was that little, I didn't know anything about anything. So it's like, or so I thought. We know so much more. We're so much more connected to our spiritual selves, the spiritual realm, the spiritual dimension that there is, that we coexist with when we're younger. We're so much more in tune, because we don't have these unaligned, disconnected things in our environment telling us things, putting things in our head, putting things in our mind, experiences where at some point we just get so confused, we don't even know what to make of it, that is now disconnecting us and placing us more into this human experience, and kind of having us forget that we are spiritual. That's why also when we're young, we're transitioning from the spiritual life, from the spiritual dimension and realm, to this human dimension and third dimensional world. We're transitioning, and I feel like a big part of what this human experience has become, is remembering everything that we already knew before we came into this physical body. Before, as what I believe is that before we agreed to come and have this human experience and experience all the things that we already agreed to experience based on our choices, based on on what route we choose to take. We create our own destiny. But do I feel like there's a map already planned out? There is, but I feel like just like in a game, you go one route, it's going to take you to another end. Or you take this other route, it's going to take you to this other end. Like there's like a huge web of choices, of infinite choices. And depending on what choice we make daily, because we have every single second, even the choices of what I'm saying right now is creating a whole web of things, of thoughts within you, of thoughts within me, that leads to who knows what. But it's all been plotted. It's all already been worked out. It's all already been worked out. And you know, a really big part of my reflection right now, since I'm transitioning and I'm literally shifting realities right now, I've been thinking a lot about my choices and what's led me to where I am right now. And I'm gonna go into so much about what's placed me where I am, from moving from the United States to Mexico. I'm now in Mexico, living in Mexico. I'm not where I'm going to be living just yet. I'm sharing some time with my dad before I go, but like 2 weeks from now, or something like that, I'm leaving already to where I'm gonna live in Mexico. And I'll be sharing a bunch of that, but I've been reflecting so much on what's brought me to this moment right now, my choices, and had I not made certain choices, where that could have led me, living a completely different life than what I'm living right now. And it's like it's so incredible. It's incredible how much our minds can't even pick this stuff up, of all of these webs of choices, of universes, of multi-universes, parallel universes of ourselves that we create based on our choices. And it makes me reflect and think about, and on both ends, had I made this choice? Had I not made this choice? All of the things that it would have created. Or had I made the choice to do this differently, and every choice that would have led to and created into, because of this one choice to do or to not do. And oh my gosh, I feel like one of the best feelings that we can have is to feel proud of ourselves, to feel proud of seeing and experiencing now. This is past tense, looking back in the past tense, and where you were at that point, and the choices that you were given, like a menu of options, right? It's like we walk in, we're constantly walking into these, let's say food, right? You walk into this place to buy some food, and you got a whole menu of choices. Every single choice is going to lead to something different, a different flavor, a different ingredient, a different turnout, a different look, a different portion, a different feeling of fulfillment when you get full, your digestion. It creates this whole other thing, right? That's basically how it is with us in our lives and our choices. We are constantly walking into places, obviously metaphorically, we're walking into these situations and these experiences where we're presented a big menu of choices, and every single choice that we make has a whole other, like, it's like trees. I always see it as like this web of tree roots where every single tree carries its own root. Every single choice of trees, the trees is the choice. And based on whatever tree of choice you choose, it's going to have so many roots following that creates so many other different choices within themselves too. Every single root has so many other roots attached to it. It's just endless. It's endless. But one of the most beautiful feelings is to be able to reflect back on choices. Even choices that were maybe there's many choices that I've made that I wouldn't change. I wouldn't change. Would I do it differently? I would have maybe done it differently. Yes, there are many choices that I would have done differently that I can reflect on and see where I needed to grow within these areas. Because had I been in a different mind state, in a different, more calm state, more peaceful, more centered and centered in my mind and more placed in my heart, I wouldn't have made that choice. Or maybe I would have still made it, but I would have made it differently. I would have done something differently that would have now created a whole other web of other choices, of other experiences, of other realities that I would be living in this life, in this human experience. So I see both, where it's like, I can see where I could have made different choices. On the other end, I see if I would have made a different choice than what I did, again, I would not be living this human experience. I literally would not be here in this present moment. I wouldn't be here with my dad. I wouldn't be here with my kids ready to leave with me. I wouldn't be here packing up all my stuff, organizing, and I got a mess. Well, I kind of organized it a little bit better yesterday, but I still have a mess behind me. Like, I wouldn't be here right now living in Mexico, or I mean, I'm in Mexico, but since I'm not living here, it's like, it's kind of weird for me to say I live in Mexico because I'm not living here. But I mean, come 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, yeah, I'm living in my place where I am living in Mexico, and I would not have been here in this moment based on certain choices. If I would have changed one choice, actually, of what I can think of right here, right now, in this moment, that would have changed my entire reality right now, everything would be different. Everything would be different. And that also places so much significance on our choices. Every single choice carries a lot of weight. It carries a lot of weight. And it doesn't matter even if you, like, I'm not even trying to make it so literal. Some things we think don't carry any weight at all. And maybe they don't seem to carry such a big significance as comparison to another choice. However, every single choice is a part of this bigger picture, this bigger piece of artwork that we are embarking on every single moment, every single present gift that we have here in this human experience. And you know what is so important to remember, and something that's so important that I continuously am reminding myself always, and it's so imprinted already. I've been reminding myself this for years now, that it's so imprinted, that it's just a memory muscle already that I already built. You have to It's like muscles. You got to continue working it out. You got to continue exercising. You got to continue. What you don't use, you lose, right? That's what they say. It's true. Same thing with our brain, same thing with our subconscious, same thing with our everything. We got to continue exercising. We got to continue working at it. We got to continue programming and reprogram. We got to continue growing, continue, not just because you water a plant one day, oh, it's good for the rest of its life. No, you got to continuously, as it's needed, give it some water, take it outside. Sometimes some need sun, some don't. You never know. The thing is that it's not about, that kind of also just reminds me of what I was saying in the beginning, where having the patience to allow the universe to allow the physical to catch up to what you're doing within yourself is not a quick thing. It's not a day and night thing. Sometimes it can start showing up like super quick. It can. I'm not saying it won't, because it can. However, that doesn't mean that we don't need to continue watering it. We don't need to continue, like, when you plant a seed, it's not just from one day to the next gonna sprout. It takes time. It takes effort from you, even if it's not real hard physical labor, but to water it, to make sure you're giving it enough sunlight, you're giving it enough whatever it is that it needs, water for sure. We need to continue maintaining everything in our physical life and have patience with the process of it. Have patience with the seed, knowing it's going to sprout, knowing it's going to give life. We know that a seed is not going to sprout from one day to the next. It's the same thing we need to plant that seed in our own mind and our own heart, that just because you start doing things and you start being more conscious and more mindful, and start breathing more, and start being more patient, and start being more kinder, and start being more gentle with yourself, and start looking at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself you love you. You love you, and you aren't going to see the effects of that from one day to the next. Plant it in your mind. Plant that own seed in your mind to remember that it's a slow work in progress. You might not be able to see what's going on beneath that soil within yourself, but just rest assured that it is creating life. It is creating momentum. You are going to be able to see that seed sprout and come through the soil. And even then, once you see it start to sprout and peek through the soil, that doesn't mean that it's done. It's going to continue growing. You got to continue watering it. You got to continue making sure that you don't overwater it. You got to continue giving it love. It's the same thing with us. And we already know, going back, we already know that it takes however long it takes for a plant to grow, for a tree to grow, for it to bear fruit. And we have that patience, knowing that, okay, it's going to. We have to wait for the season sometimes too. There's certain seasons. So, but we know that if I plant this, if I take care of it, it's going to do what it is meant to do. It's the same exact thing with us. We need that same exact energy for ourselves, and that same exact belief, and that faith, and that true knowingness, that so long as I am doing the work that I need to be doing and putting effort forth within myself, eventually I'm going to see that physical proof show up in my human experience. I'm going to see the proof. And I promise you, you're going to see the proof. You're going to see the proof. You know, I've literally been reprogramming myself for a few years already, a couple years already. I don't even know how long it's been. Okay, I do. It's been since 2018. Somewhere around there, the end of 2018, mid 2018, something like that, something like that. Since then, and Gregorian calendar, we're 2024 right now. Since then, I've been continuously working on my inner self, continuously putting effort to reprogram my mind, to heal different aspects of myself, to stop reacting in the same ways that I've been continuously, repetitively in a pattern, been reacting in for however long it's been, or it had been in my life of being me. And in little ways, sometimes big ways, I would see a little physical, like it's like the universe would just toss me a little something to show me, like, Cindy, you're doing your work, and we're noticing it. Here's a little sign for you that we're paying attention. Little grains, they throw me little grains, like, here you go, Cindy. Here's this for now. Keep working on yourself. And yeah, it takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of calmness in my mind, calmness in our mind, and getting out of our mind and getting more into our heart. And honestly, just taking those deep breaths and allowing yourself to take that space to remind yourself of, even if that means reminding yourself of different times where you thought you weren't going to make it through or something, and maybe even last minute you did, or last minute it showed up into your physical experience right when you needed it. It's kind of thinking of, like, even reading a book. You, depending on how big the book is, but think about if we had a book of our life, that thing would be freaking enormous, right? And we wouldn't be able to read it from start to finish. Which I'm at the same time, it's like, well, why would you want to go through something from start to finish? It's kind of also like something that I'm remembering of, that I have heard Abraham Hicks speak on, which is like, sometimes we get too much in a rush. We want things to show up right here, right now, and be here. Without the waiting, without the whatever it is. And it's like, I'm always constantly reminding myself, since when I first heard Abraham Hicks say something about this example within this, of us thinking that we want something now, but there's no real joy in any of that. And it was kind of something like, the example was like, if you're going to take a trip somewhere, the enjoyment is in every little part of that trip. There's no point in just doing everything fast and already being done with it. What's the true fulfillment of getting through something so quick and already, and being there where on the trip where we're going, and just being over? It's every single little, even the trip from, if you're taking a road trip, that whole way there should be in the enjoyment of it, because we're in the midst of the present moment, not fast forwarding anything. That's kind of reminding me, actually. And I'm always thinking of this movie, and I was just thinking about this the other day, and I feel like my higher self was trying to also tell me to not get so caught up in wanting to not repeat the message that this movie was trying to give, and have a balance within acknowledging that I don't want to be making these type of mistakes that were made in the movie. Click. Okay, I need to say the movie already. The movie Click with Adam Sandler. Ever since I saw that movie, I reflect on it a lot. I reflect on it a lot. I don't know why I got something in my throat. I'm not getting emotional. But ever since I saw that movie years ago, it comes back into my thought process at times, where it's like he just wanted to fast forward life to get to a certain point, to get to when he had all this money, when he had success in his job, when he got that promotion that he had been waiting forever for, and working and working and working and working for this person who really in reality didn't care much for him, being so focused in this future tense of himself that he forgot to enjoy every single little piece and process and little baby step that he was taking, and the present moment of being with his family, of being and enjoying the fulfillment of when you have next of kin in this world. I don't like to say children or kids, but when you have these youngsters these little human beings that you bring into this world, he was so fixated in this future tense of this this label that means nothing. Your title of work means nothing. Your education certificates, they mean nothing. The however much money you make in your job and whatever it is means nothing. However many awards or medals or achievements physically you make in work and school and in sports, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything other than us being present in our moments, being present with the people who we care about, being present within ourselves to allow others to also experience us in this present moment of who we are and where we are, and everything that makes us us as a whole, all of us. Enjoying our pets if we have pets, enjoying every little moment of them growing and them being and them when they're playing or whatever it is. I'm always reminding myself to not make the same mistakes of that movie. And it's a reminder to myself right now and to you, whoever's connected with this message and this timeline also, to not try to fast forward and get to this dream visual that you have of yourself in this higher timeline that you see yourself in. It exists already. It exists already. When we're watching a movie, the whole movie is already existing. It already is there. Just because we're just beginning it doesn't mean that the end doesn't already exist. It's already been created. It's already been written. It's already been recorded. It's already been premeditated. It's the same thing with our life. If we are seeing ourselves in being in a certain place, being in a certain area of success, being in a certain area of love within our life, or whatever it is, experiences and adventures and wherever our imagination can take us, of this future tense that we so badly want to be in at some point in our life. I know at some point in my life, I was so fixated on this future tense of myself that I forgot to be present with where I was, be present with my growth, be present with who I was at that timeline, because I'm growing regardless. So it's a reminder I feel like it kind of also brings peace for you to know that whatever it is that you want or you feel so deeply of you being, of you becoming, of you existing in your life, that you think is so far out in the future, it exists already. It's just a matter of just play the movie and let it play its course. Watch every scene, enjoy every conversation, enjoy every breath that you take, every view that you get to gaze at, every animal that you get to encounter with, every person that you get to coexist in the human experience with, that are also a part of your movie. Enjoy watching and living. It's not even just about watching your movie of your human experience. Enjoy living the movie of your human experience, and don't be trying to fast forward. Don't be trying to when we're living present, we don't need to try to also rewind, because we lived that moment and we know that we were present in that moment and we were there, and we weren't over here somewhere on the phone. We weren't over here. We weren't on social media scrolling. We weren't in our so much in our mind, out of our heart space and in our mind space, where we're just so caught up in our thoughts and so caught up in this physical experience, so caught up in bills, so caught up in, oh, I gotta wake up tomorrow early, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, and then when I get out I have to do this, and then, oh, we're running out of this, we gotta stop at the store. Getting out of here and just being present with where you are. There's a time and place for everything. There's a time and place for everything. And also at the same time of all that, time doesn't exist. All that exists and all that will ever exist is right here, right now, in the present. In the present moment, the past is also being the past exists within the present and the future exists within the present. When we reflect back and are so concentrated on the past and the past experience, we're experiencing that in the present. When we're so caught up and we're so fixated on something in the future and so worried about something in the future, maybe even too fearful of something in the future or excited about something in the future, and just so appreciative of what you feel already in the present from the future. It's all existing right here, right now. The past exists right here, right now. The future exists right here, right now. Nothing exists but right here, right now, in this present moment. That's why it's called a present, because it's such a gift. It's such a gift. And when we're living present, we don't care about the past. Not in the sense where we're so caught up and fixated on it. When we're living in the present, we don't care about the future. Not to where we're so caught up and so fixated on it. We're just living here right now, enjoying where I am right here, right now, knowing that I'm going where I'm going, knowing that is already, it's already in my movie timeline. The scene has already been played. It's already been written there. But I'm not trying to forward through the movie or see it fast forwarded, where you can make the video go faster, I'm not trying to do any of that. At some point in my life, I did. That was going back to choices. That was a choice that I was making back then. And that's something that I reflect on now, where it's like, at some point in my life, I was like, click. I was just forwarding. I wanted to forward through everything, and I just wanted to get to where I saw myself in my most highest, most abundant timeline. And I wasn't appreciating the present moment. I wasn't appreciating who I was with whoever I was with. I wasn't appreciating who I was as an individual, as a person, as a spiritual being. I was just so fixated on things that were going on, problems, human problem experience, human problems that I know I myself was creating through choices. Everything comes down to choices and perception. Perception creates reality. We are constantly creating reality through our perception of every single choice. Just because I don't make the most highest choice doesn't mean that there's not something that I can take from it and I can learn from it. And I can then at a later point, when I receive a choice similar to it or reflecting that other choice that I once made, I can now choose differently because of this experience. So that's what makes it so gold. That's what makes it so beautiful. Even if it may not have been a great experience when you actually look into the deepness of it. That's how I see everything. I see everything as an opportunity for me to grow, for me to be more my authentic, more myself, to be more connected with the spiritual realm, to be more connected to source within me that lives within me, for me to learn a cycle that is either healthy or not healthy, and I should heal and pull the weed out of the weed from that out of the weed out from that. Everything serves a purpose. Everything serves a purpose. But it's in how we see things. It's in how we see things. I am constantly realizing how differently I perceive things from how others perceive things. To someone we can see the exact same situation from top to bottom. We can see the whole thing happen. And they'll have a different perception than I will. But it's because I've been training my mind. I've been programming my mind, reprogramming my mind to see that everything is serving a higher purpose. Everything is serving my good in some way, and it's up to me to choose to receive that from it. This is the first episode of my podcast show where I am telling my vision. Tell a vision. It's my turn to tell a vision. The love solution, where love is the root of our existence. I'm going to be sharing so much. I'm going to be sharing my experiences where I am. I'm going to be living in Mexico, which is going to be so beautiful and so exciting and just so adventurous. And just, I'm going to be sharing so much of that. I'm going to be sharing so much of what I've been doing all these years to reprogram myself and to shift my reality the way I'm shifting it right now. I'm just going to be just sharing what comes to me. I'm not a scripted person. I'm not going to be controlling anything other than just what I feel called to share, what I feel called to say, what I feel called to do, and to I want to put it out into the world. I want to start talking about food, and because everything is connected. So my channel is going to have a good amount of travel things, adventurous things, things of beauty around the world that Source created for us to experience, and to also realize, like, wow, there is something so beautiful behind this entire existence that we are existing in, where it just is just like, wow, I can't, there's no way of this not proving an existence of a higher source and just an infiniteness of something. So I'm going to be sharing my adventures. I'm going to be sharing whatever channel messages come through from that. I'm going to be sharing I'm going to be sharing so much. I'm also going to continue sharing my poetry. I'm going to be sharing, there's going to be so much I'm going to share, so much I'm going to share, so many experiences that I have never shared before. Experiences that have led me to be and think and do as I am, as I do, and that have literally shaped me into who you see me to be, you feel me to be. Scratch the see me, feel me to be. Don't just see me, feel me, feel me. I'm gonna show myself. I'm gonna show myself without being afraid, without being scared, without judge me if you want to judge me. I'm no longer living in any kind of fear. I am no longer moving through any fear. I am just moving through love because love is the root of our existence. So follow along, stay tuned. If you have been connected with this, oh my gosh, we are so connected because there's billions of people that exist in this human experience right now. And how is it to say that we've been aligned? We've been aligned. There's so many millions of content creators out there too, and some way somehow we've been aligned. And this is my first actual episode that I am putting out onto my podcast too. This is the first official one. So I know that we're going to build a beautiful community here. We're going to fill ourselves with love, and that's going to be the only point. We're going to pull from all of the fulfillment that we already have within ourselves, that we were already created within ourselves. And that's literally going to be the only thing that we need to do. We work on ourselves, we work on our own self-love, and the rest will be reflecting all of that. One last thing that reminds me. I read my poetry, I don't know when it was now, maybe like a month ago when I was still in the United States, in the US, in Phoenix. And one of the questions was, before we went up, it was around Halloween actually, before Halloween. And the host had asked for us to answer what's a costume that we would wear if we could wear it for the rest of our lives. I don't celebrate any holidays. I don't celebrate any of that anymore. I'll also be sharing that stuff too. Oh, I want to talk about the food. Like, I'm alkaline, and our food has so much to do with elevating our higher consciousness and decalcifying our pineal gland. I'm going to be touching a lot on food also because it has a lot to do with it. But going back to, she asked that question, and so I was thinking like, well, I don't know, because I don't celebrate any of that. I wouldn't dress up as anything. However, something was telling me, well, think outside the box, okay? And I always like to think outside the box. I don't like to be I just don't like to be a very inside the box thinker. I like to be unique. I like to challenge my mind to think of things differently, to be creative the way that we are when we're so young. We got such a creative brain. So I always like to think of things deeper. And so I was there, people were going up. I was number 9. And 9 is a good number. That's why I say that. Nikola Tesla 369. So yeah, all of a sudden it comes to me. I said that if I would wear anything for the rest of my life, it wouldn't be comfortable. But I would wear a mirror. That way we can all see. And this goes really deep, actually. Too deep to where I'm not going to touch on it right now, but we are a reflection of everything in this universe. We are projecting what's going on in here, out into the universe. Everything is a mirror. It's all reflecting to us what we're attracting, because we are electromagnetic beings and everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. Nikola Tesla. So it's like, I would wear a mirror, that way people could see their own reflection of what they're projecting onto me. Hey, you feel that certain way about me? Well, it's actually reflecting something within yourself that maybe you should look into. A lot of times we think that everything outside of us is something else. We're disconnected from it. I am me and you're you, but that's not the case at all. That's not the case at all. I am you and you are me. In Lock Edge, actually. And that means I am you and you are me. whatever I am seeing outside here, and it takes a lot for us to soak that in. Like, whatever I'm seeing out here is because I am the one creating this out here. It may not always be pretty to realize that. It may not always be a pretty reflection. However, it takes acknowledging the fact that everything that we are experiencing in this human experience is a direct reflection of what's going on in here. It's showing us what we need to still work on, or what we could improve on, what we could grow in, what we could heal, what we could tweak a little bit. And I feel like that's also something so beautiful, where it's like, if I need to find out what aspect I'm kind of lacking a little bit in, and I need to work in that muscle a little bit more, I just look out. And the universe is going to be reflecting to me what it is that's needing some tweaking in here. So I feel like that could help a lot, as much as it's helped me to realize that everything outside of me is reflecting to me what's going on within myself. It's like a cheat code. It's like a cheat code. And it's not to say that it's always going to be exact, because again, the universe, we can be working on within ourselves, and it could be the universe still trying to catch up physically to show us our improvements and show us that physical manifestation. However, there will be little nudges and little signs that do show us, hey, you're doing this right. Hey, you're working on this, and I see it, I feel it. Look, this is your proof right here. So I am you and you are me. And whatever you're seeing in me, you're seeing it in yourself. And whatever I see in another person, I'm realizing I'm seeing that somewhere within myself too. Or something like I've paid attention to when things make me a little bit unpeaceful within myself. I'm realizing that at some point in my life, I was also making the same choice that this individual is making, and that's what's making me feel this discomfort, because it's something that I myself was doing at some point and I didn't like it, or I see and reflect now and I don't like that I did that, but I'm seeing it now within this other person. So it's all showing me something about myself. And I feel like that's just such a beautiful thing. And if we can grasp that and realize, like, look, the universe, the physical universe, the physical experience is not against us. It's here to help us. It's here to be our friend, to be our teacher, to help us see visually and feel also different things that are helping lead us into this highest divine, most abundant timeline that we are meant to reach. So I'm closing it up right here. I am making it a point to say and to put it out here that I'm going to continue to share. I'm going to continue to post. I'm going to continue to follow my inner guidance of when I get the nudge and the pull to share or post whatever it is. I'm removing any control of perfectionism, of wanting it to be a certain way now, or wanting to fast forward to the point to when I have all this equipment, this really nice space of like where I'm broadcasting my vision that I'm telling, my television show. And I'm just gonna allow it all to also be seen and be recorded, to see my progress and to see my way of living and how it works for me. That way you can also find out how it can work for you, or find and take little different ways and little different messages, little intuitive nudges that you receive, so that you can also implement whatever it is you're being called and whatever it is you're being guided to implement into your own life, and see the physical manifestations of that, the physical evidence of that. I've been searching for that word this entire time, evidence. I was saying proof, but I was feeling evidence. So this is the closing of episode 1. Episode 1, and let's see where it takes us. Till next time on The Love Solution, where love is the root of our existence. Much love, much peace. See ya.